Namaste. Welcome to this practice based around ahimsa. So ahimsa, the first principle of yoga, kindness. We're looking today at kindness to others, kindness in all that we do. So the yoga principle, meaning non-harm, means we should try and go through life causing as little harm to others as possible and expressing as much as we can loving kindness to ourselves and to others. Last week we looked at being kind to ourselves and trying to be really mindful about our movements and how it felt in the body and what was right for us. I would encourage you to do that for all yoga practices. This session, I want you to devote your practice to somebody else. So come to sitting, comfortable seated position. Draw yourself up nice and tall. Let the eyes close, the hands be relaxed in the lap. Notice your breath. Become aware of the breaths coming in and out of the body. And allow your breath to slow to a steady rhythm. And let those shoulders drop down. Let the face relax. And I want you to think of somebody you would like to send out some loving kindness to. This could be a loved one, somebody very close to you. It could be somebody that you don't know that well, but you think could do with that little bit of extra help. It could be a group of people maybe that you seem that way. Maybe it's a beloved pet or an animal, another being of some sort. Bring them into your awareness and devote your practice to them. Because know that whenever we practice yoga, it's not only beneficial for ourselves, but it affects those around us. And that ripple effect goes out around the world. And sometimes if we hold a special somebody in mind as we practice, I feel we can send that positive energy out to them in particular. So breathing in, breathing out. Imagine you could breathe into your heart space now. So feel that expansion on the inhale. And release and relax out on the exhale. Breathing in love. And sending out that loving kindness and compassion out into the ether, knowing it will be picked up by those who need it most. I want you to notice if it feels different, devoting your practice to someone else instead of concentrating on your own needs and requirements as much. So start by coming to a wide-legged seated posture. You can have something under the hips if that helps. Take the feet out as wide as you comfortably can. Toes pointed up to the sky. And flex the feet, so you feel a little something going on in the back of the legs, a little stretch around the hip flexors, drawing yourself up nice and tall. Bring the fingertips to the ground in front of you. And on an inhale, lengthen up as much as you can through the spine, through the side waist. And on the exhale, hinge forward just a little way until you feel some resistance in the back of the legs, the thighs, the calves, and then deliberately bend your knees a little to release that resistance. Inhale again, lengthen. And as you exhale, hinge forward a little more, trying to straighten your legs. And at this stage, I want you to keep as flat a back as you can. So nice, long, tall back. One more breath like this, bending the knees, inhale, lengthening. Exhale, hinging forward and then trying to straighten the legs. So you'll feel maybe at the edge of your stretch now, the edge of the point where you can't go any further. And then I'd like you to relax the head, relax the spine down. And we'll take 4 deep breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling. You might want to bend the knees on the inhale and straighten them again on the exhale. And maybe you creep the hands and the chest forward. Maybe you don't. Maybe you stay just as you are. And offering something up into the universe with every breath. So bowing forwards, breathing in love and sending out compassion. One more deep breath here. And then using your hands to walk yourself gently back upright. Keeping the legs apart, you can give them a little shake if you want to bring a little bit of movement in, if that will ease them. We're going to take a gentle twist before we move out of this posture. So again, toes pointing up to the sky, feel those muscles working and the back body. So nice, straight and tall. We'll inhale, take our arms out to the side. On the exhale, take your right hand towards your left foot. Might not come all the way to the toes, doesn't matter, let it land. Inhale up again. Exhale, take the left hand towards the right foot. And do this once more on each side. So coming through the center on the inhale. Taking a twist, you can make this as gentle or as strong a twist as suits you. Rising up on the inhale and taking another exhale over towards your right foot. Finish with an inhale to the center and an exhale to bring the hands down. Scoop up the back of your knees and bring the knees in towards the chest for a hug. Good. And then move yourself onto all fours. Come into tabletop position and get that lovely length through the spine. So gaze is down between the hands, spread into the fingers, unless you want to do this on forearms. And let's take an inhale there and an exhale to round the back. Enjoy your cat stretch. On the inhale, tilt the hips forward, let the tummy drop, lift the heart, lift the head for cow pose. Work through those 2 postures. So the exhale draws the tummy up to the sky, drops the head, a lovely cat stretch, rounding the back. Inhale, tilt the hips, let that flow along to lift the heart, lift the head in cow pose. Moving back and forth at a pace that suits your breath. Think of the inhale as expanding the heart, offering it forwards. The exhale softening. And when you're ready, let it be an exhale where you start to sink the hips back towards the heels and bring yourself into child pose. Bowing down to the floor, maybe your hands want to come under your forehead or even back by your feet. Find your comfortable child pose variation or something similar that makes you feel nice and relaxed. So maybe lying on your belly or staying on all fours, swaying the hips. Now I'd like you to soften down. With every exhale, think your heart is melting towards the floor. Sending out love. Let the back spread. The neck is soft, the head is heavy. Sending out loving kindness with your practice, with everything you do this evening. Everything you do in this session. Lovely. And then rising up to all fours. We're going to take the right foot behind us, but keeping it on the floor. So tuck the toes under, stretch through that back heel and through the crown of the head. So you've got a lovely diagonal, a long stretch all through the body. And have the hands under the shoulders or come down onto forearms. Take an inhale there. As you exhale, sweep the foot round to the side. Look over your left shoulder towards the toes. And breathe in and out to that right side body. Let there be space in the body. Good. Ready on an inhale to sweep the foot back around again, all the way around to the side now, so that it's coming out towards from the side of the hip. And when you're ready, come up to a high kneeling posture. So you've got the left knee is under the left hip, and as best you can, the right toes are pointing forward and the foot is flat on the floor. You can adjust that so that it's comfortable, so that you can stay there. And we're going to move into gate pose. So inhale, lifting the arms up. Exhale, coming over so that the right hand meets the right leg in a side stretch. Good. And stretch up through the left fingers on an inhale, opening up that side of the body. Exhale, see if you can soften, let the head be heavy. Maybe those right fingers just creep a little bit further down the leg. One more inhale, exhale here. And then on an inhale, come all the way up. And over we go to find the floor. So now we've got this diagonal stretch instead of this curved side bend. So the other side of the body is lengthening out through the ribs, between the ribs and the hip, down the leg, pushing into the outside edge of that side foot and reaching out again through the fingertips. Brilliant. And rising up, inhaling, both hands lift. Exhale, bring the hands back down to the floor and come down to tabletop pose. So back on all fours. Breathing there. Notice how one side of the body might feel different to the other. We've done 2 different stretches on each side. I'm going to even that up now. So taking your left foot behind you, tuck the toes into the floor, reach the heel towards the ground, but at the same time, reach the crown of the head away from that heel. So you're getting lovely length and openness in the back body. Inhale there. Exhale, sweep the left foot around on the floor, drawing a little arc, looking over your right shoulder towards the foot. Doesn't matter if you can't see it, look towards where it would be, and breathe into the left side of the body, allowing space to open out. Good. One more big breath here. On your next inhale, draw a lovely big arc all around with your foot. Bring it out to the side of the hip. And when you feel stable to do so, rising up to a high kneeling posture in our 5-bar gate type position, pressing into that extended foot. We're going to inhale and lift the arms up. Exhale, over we come. Left hand towards that left extended leg. And stay there for 3 breaths. Every exhale, can you soften a little? Can you find a little more space in the side body on the inhale? Arm up over the ear if you can. Good. One more exhale. And then inhale, rise up. Exhale, the hands down. Come to tabletop pose again. Give the hips a little sway. If you want to go back into child pose for a breath or 2, that's fine, you can do. We're going to thread the needle next. So we want a nice stable tabletop pose with those knees under the hips. Again, you can do this on your forearms if your wrists don't like it. And on an inhale, we're going to start with the left hand, lifting the left hand out to the side and up. And testing the water, so thread it under the right arm, but don't bring the cheek right down to the floor yet. Come out of it again. So on the inhale, unraveling the twist, reaching out through the fingertips, and this time, let the back of the hand slide along the floor until the left shoulder and the left cheek can rest down onto your mat. And take a moment here. You might want to shuffle the knees forward, back, close together, further apart, so that you feel comfortable in your twist. You can draw the shoulder further under to extend the twist, or reverse out a little bit so it's a gentler twist on the body. And you can keep the right palm on the floor or the whole of the right forearm on the floor. But if you want to go deeper into the twist, lift that right hand out to the side, turn the palm up to the sky, bend the elbow, and take the back of the right hand onto the back of the left hip. And let this right shoulder open up. If that feels uncomfortable, then please bring the hand back down to the mat instead. And let's have a few breaths here, softening down into the pose. Your hips want to be up in the air. Your head is connected with the ground. And it should feel settling and soothing. It should be a twist that feels restorative, so not a big effort to be in. Breathe into the posture. And if your hand came onto the back hip, bring it back down now onto the mat. So pressing into the right palm near your face, unravel yourself. On an inhale, lifting the left hand out and up. Exhale, bringing the hand back to the mat. So you're on all fours. Pausing there before we do the other side, feeling how the body is and noticing now how one side can differ to the other. Let's see how the other side feels. Inhale, lift the right hand up and away. Exhale, thread it underneath, but don't settle. Just let yourself come down and then unwind again. Often we can get into a more comfortable twist by doing this a couple of times. So now let the body settle, find its twist. The right cheek, the right shoulder come to the floor. The right arm wants to be completely relaxed. So fingers are softly curled. The right back of the hand and arm are on the floor. And then decide whether you want to adjust the knees, adjust the shoulder position, whether the left arm is going to stay on the floor, or whether you feel like opening out, wrapping it around the back of your body, back of the hand onto the back of the right hip. Thinking about opening in the shoulder if you're doing that. It should give a lovely opening to the left shoulder. Breathing in and out. If you want to feel more length in the spine, try walking your knees back a little. One more deep breath here. And then bringing the left hand to the floor if it's not already, pressing into the mat, unraveling, opening out, and bringing hands down to the ground in all fours. Again, you're welcome to come to a sneaky child pose for a couple of breaths if you want to. Let's think about coming into either downward facing dog or puppy dog pose. So you can walk the hands away and stay in kneeling, or you can lift the hips and walk out the legs. So pedaling the feet, either walking backwards and forwards in down dog, or one at a time, a little more slowly in your puppy dog, thinking length down the back body. And when you're in your down dog, I'd like you to try sighing out the exhale. And every exhale, think melt the heart towards the floor. If you're in downward facing dog and you want to start bringing the heels towards the floor as well, then you can, but make sure you bend the knees, lift the hips, and get the lovely length in the back before you do that. Let the head be free. The ears are between the
upper arms. And then it's time to start our journey forwards, walking the feet forwards towards the hands, everyone coming together in a forward fold. Again, let the head be free. Let it go here. Arms dangling or holding opposite elbows. We're going to work into the back of the body. So on an inhale, hands might want to come to the shins. You inhale and come up halfway. Extend through the crown of the head. Get that lovely length in the back. And then exhale, bow down again, trying to straighten the legs and feel an expansion in the back body. Knees can bend on the inhale as you lift out of the bow. And exhale, hips go up, head goes down, coming into your forward bend. Twice more like that in your own time, your own breath length. Thinking that you're doing this for others. So send some love out, thinking you're putting in the work, you're putting in the effort to do good for others today. And then when you're ready to, you might want to have the feet a little wider apart, ready to rise up. You can roll slowly up, coming up to standing, lifting the arms if you want to, but coming into mountain pose, where the palms face forward, the heart is lifted and open. And feel engaged. Remember pressing into the feet, lifting up through the legs, up through the tummy, the heart, and those shoulders are rolled down and back. Breathe here. Good stuff. We're going to lift up onto our toes. So on an inhale, I want you to take the arms out to the side, come up onto tiptoes. And as you exhale, bring the hands down again. Lovely big circle. Nice and slow. Good. And again. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Nice, controlled, brilliant. One last time. Opening up in the inhale. And with control, coming down, back into Tadasana when you're ready to. Okay, let's turn to the left. Nice big stride. Toes facing the side of your yoga mat so that your edge of your feet are parallel to each other. Ready for your warrior postures. You want the tailbone to stay tucked under as you turn your right foot to the front of your mat and adjust your left foot. So maybe the heel goes a little further back. Maybe it stays with the outside edge of the foot straight. You be stable. And then we'll inhale and lift our arms up. Look down that right arm. Exhale, bend the front knee. Good. And when we come into our warriors, it's a chance to draw up our inner courage. So feel brave and powerful. And yoga warriors use their energy to do good. So today we're thinking about being strong and courageous in doing things gently and kindly, not doing harm to others as best we can. That doesn't mean that we're a pushover and that we don't stand up to things, but we try our best not to negatively affect others as best we can. I'm going to take triangle pose. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, reach forward and then down. Let that top hand come to the hip to start with as you roll the top shoulder back. You might want to have a block to push into here, or the hand might rest lightly on the leg. And I want you to think about expansion. So in triangle or extended triangle, if you wish to lift the arm up, it's the inhale where we reach the limbs out in opposite directions and the crown of the head. And it's the exhale where we can soften off away from the posture a little. So 3 more breaths like that, working in your triangle pose. If the shoulder gets uncomfortable, bring the hand to the hip. Sometimes we can get more out of the posture if we don't have to worry about something being too uncomfortable. Try and tuck that right buttock under, that right hip under. Feel how that spins the body, the torso, a little more around and up. Last breath here on an inhale, and then exhale brings both hands to frame that right foot. Bend the knee, turn that back foot forwards, and you're in a runner's lunge. You can drop the knee down to the floor if you want to for a low lunge. Make sure either way that your right knee is over your right foot. And I want you to take 3 deep breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling. On the inhale, lift the heart, lift and open the heart. And on the exhale, soften down. See if you can drop the hips a little more. Keeping that lumbar spine nice and wide and relaxed. The work should be on the tummy, the sides of the waist, the back, but not crunching that lumbar spine. And then we're going to push off with those back toes and step forward into your forward fold once more. You choose if the feet are together or wide apart. Relax the head down. A little test, straightening the legs, bending the knees. How does it feel? Are the hamstrings and the muscles in the back of the legs releasing and relaxing a little more? And then you choose how to rise up. You can roll up or bent knees either way. You might choose to come up with a flatter back, lifting up on your inhale, coming back to standing, coming into Tadasana and breathing. Notice how those postures affected your energy, your physiology. So maybe the heart starts beating a little faster. And we'll take it on the other side. This time it'll be a turn to your right before a big wide stride. Again, toes point forward. Start with a strong foundation that's equal and balanced. And then this time you'll be turning your left toes to the front of your mat, adjusting the back foot. And when you're ready, inhaling, lifting the arms out, shoulder height, look down the left arm, exhale. Bend the front knee and come into your warrior 2. Never be scared to bring the hands onto the hips, either for a few breaths or for the whole posture, but keep the gaze strong as though you're looking out beyond that middle fingernail. So gazing ahead, pressing into the feet, okay, especially the outside edge of that back foot. That's going to help lift the posture a little bit. Tailbone is tucked under and everything is focused here, okay, as though you're ready to pounce, ready to act, but there's a calm with it. Drop the shoulders. Feel into this loving kindness that you're sending out, even if you know there's a battle to be fought, in order to do good. And then it'll be an inhale to straighten the front leg, ready for triangle pose. Reach forward on the exhale, then down. Set yourself up in your triangle, maybe using a block. Sometimes you can really push into a block and it helps lift the rest of the body away. If you're on your leg, I prefer you didn't push too hard, especially if that knee is locked. We don't want to be pushing into the knee joint too much. Maybe your fingertips come to the floor, but don't force that. Okay? It might be better to come higher up the leg and again, feel that openness in the body rather than trying to get down to the floor and losing some of it. So if you want to, the hand can lift. And every inhale, think, can I expand further away from my core? Like you're sending love out into the universe and you could see it in your fingertips, out through your feet, going down into the earth, out of the head. Just imagine this radiant light sending love and kindness outwards. Soften a little on each exhale and then find it again on the next inhale, rising and falling. Beautiful. One more big inhale to finish. And your next exhale comes to frame the front foot. Turn the toes. So all 10 toes are pointing towards the front of your mat, and decide whether you're staying up high or dropping that back knee down. Either way, we can do the same amount of work. The inhale lifts and brightens the pose. So the heart lifts, the gaze lifts. The exhale is more about feeling into the hips. So allow them to sink down a little more. Couple more breaths like that. Good. Again, looking for the feeling of expansion, then relaxation. Really nice. And then push into your hands this time. We're going to step back instead of forwards. Downward facing dog, where you're welcome to stay for a few breaths or come straight to kneeling and child pose or relaxation pose of your choice. Again, I'd encourage you to sigh out the exhales as much as you want in today's practice. Let that softness come into the whole sequence. We're all going to come together in child pose. So if you haven't made your way there already, taking the hips back towards the heels and bringing the fingertips forward. We're going to go through a little Shakti flow, an energy flow of 4 postures. We'll feel through them slowly to start with. So child pose, let the hips release and relax back on the exhale. Let the heart melt down. Let the head release towards the floor. And then on the next inhale, I want you to come into cobra. So either lifting up through all fours and dropping the hips down, or slithering along the floor if you prefer. And you can come into Sphinx if that's better for you, being on your forearms. Stay for a few breaths this round. So if you're in cobra, again, can you soften that lumbar spine? Can you relax it by drawing in the tummy a little? Think widening across the hips. Maybe you turn the toes in a little bit, if that helps. Lifting the heart on the inhale, roll the shoulders back and down. Good. On the next exhale, make your way into downward facing dog, or stay in kneeling if that's better for you. Maybe a cat stretch. Otherwise, tuck the toes, lifting up to down dog. And again, this round we'll take a couple of breaths here. So either kneeling in all fours, tabletop pose, or downward facing dog. Hips to the sky, heels towards the ground on the exhale, melting the heart. And then everyone's going to come to their knees, lift the heart, lift the head for cow pose. And if you want to, then let the tops of the toes come onto the floor, because the next posture we'll be moving back into is child pose. Knees can widen away from each other if you choose. Soften down. So we're going to take those 4 postures and work through them, one pose on each breath. And I'm very happy for us to get out of time on this. You don't have to follow me. So on an inhale, the hands stay forward. We're going to come into cobra pose, lifting the heart. On the exhale, coming back either to kneeling or into downward dog. Inhale, lift the heart, lift the head, cow pose. Exhale, rounding the back, drawing the hips back to child pose. Keep going like that. 3 more rounds in your own way, in your own rhythm. Use the breath. On the inhale, it's an opening, expansive posture. On the exhale, coming more internal again, sighing out the exhale if you want to. Alternating, expanding, contracting. Feeling the energy flow through. Going at your own breath rate. Don't worry if you're ahead or behind me. Finish the next round. And when you next come into child pose,
staying there, observing how the body feels. And you can go a little faster, a little slower. Release down, soften. Again, bring your hands to where they want to be. So now they might be under your forehead or down beside your feet. And as much softness as you can bring into this pose, as much restorative energy, I want you to feel that breathing into your heart space, turning it into love and compassion, and then sending it out again. So it's like the work that you're doing for the benefit of the universe, sending it out to that someone special that you thought of at the beginning, feeling it radiating out of you. Good stuff. And then coming back to all fours, downward dog if you'd like to. Walking the feet towards the hands. Spending a couple of breaths in your forward fold. Bending the knees, straightening the knees. Making sure that you're doing this with loving kindness, that you're not forcing and straining the practice. We want to keep that feeling of love and compassion. And in order to be able to send that out to others, we've got to monitor what we're doing to ourselves. And then when you get your inner cue, press down into your feet, bend the knees and rise up. Bringing the hands back beside the body in Tadasana. Taking a couple of long breaths. If you want to close your eyes, by all means do so. Feel the energy settle, because the next thing we're going to do is our balance. And we're going to do Warrior 3 balance. If you want to be near a wall or a chair or something, then it will be the left hand you want to be able to reach out. And we're going to balance on the left foot first of all. I want you to take your right foot behind you a good step so that you're on the tiptoes of your right foot, and the arms can be beside the body at the same angle as that right foot. If you prefer, you can lift them out to the side like aeroplane wings. Get that lovely length in the body, strength from the crown of the head to that back foot, and we're going to stay in that straight line. Breathing in there. As you breathe out, maybe the toes lift off the floor. Keep the breath going, nice and steady and slow. Try and keep the hips level. You're going to tilt forward a little more. Don't let that right hip lift up too much. Think about the chin being tucked. So if you're tilting forward, your gaze comes down. You're not trying to look ahead still. Feel the balance. Hips are steady and level. Energy in your body radiating out of you, sending out that loving kindness. And when you're ready, let it be an inhale to rise you back up again, and place the foot gently back on the floor. Come back into mountain pose. Before you do anything, adjust anything, or think about how your balance was on that side, settle the energy. Lovely. And then set yourself up ready for the other side. If you want something near that right hand to be able to reach out to, now's the time to get that ready. And then it will be taking the left toes back. So first of all, taking a moment to set up the energy of the pose. And that really is one line of energy up through the top of the head, out through that back heel, as though there was a rod of steel through the body. And when you're ready, lifting the toes off the floor, might be a tiny bit, you might come forward more, trying to keep your lovely straight line. And you can experiment with flexing the back foot or pointing the back toes. What helps you to balance? Maybe you come all the way into a T shape.
Maybe you're nearly upright. Keep the breath going. Nice and long and smooth. And again, when you're ready, you rise up. Inhaling, exhaling, and let that wave of relief go through the body as you come onto both feet again. Take a breath there. Lovely. Whether that was the most perfect balance or the most wobbliest you've ever been, accept your offering. You did your best. Let it go. Send it out into the universe. Super. Bring your hands together in front of the heart. Let's lift them up. Bow it down into your forward fold and step back to downward dog or kneeling, ready for our pigeon pose. So you can either bring the knees forward along the mat, or you can swing them forward from our downward facing dog. You want to look towards your right thumb, lift the right leg out behind you, and then swoop your right knee towards the right thumb, bringing your leg, your shin, across at a bit of an angle. Okay, and it needs to be comfortable. If this knee is complaining, the hips don't like it, then please make adjustments. You can pad up under that right hip, you can turn onto your back and do our figure 4 and our reverse pigeon if you prefer. If you're with me, if you're facing forward, roll the shoulders back, lift the heart, and then start walking the hands forward as you exhale, softening down into the hips, drawing that left foot back, turning your pigeon into a sleeping swan, and breathing into the right hip, the right thigh, inviting them to soften and release. So maybe the head is down, maybe it's touching the floor, maybe it's dangling. Maybe you want to stack your fists to bring them onto, or you could be on your forearms. And this is a great pose for finding loving kindness. Okay, again, if we want more flexible hips, we have to be prepared to put in the work and let that happen over time. Everybody has different sets of setting in their bones. So this might be easy for some people, it might be super, super tight and uncomfortable for others. Treat yourself how you want to treat others, so be kind. One more deep breath on this side. And use your hands to bring yourself back up, lifting your pigeon chest once more. Press into your hands, tuck the back toes, ease yourself back, either to kneeling or back into down dog. Sway the hips, walk out the legs, whatever feels good. Ready to do the other side. So lifting up the left leg behind you, look towards your left thumb and sweep the left knee towards the left thumb and take your time to let it settle there. So you might need to adjust your leg, you might need to stretch the right leg back. You can flex the left foot, that always helps supporting the knee. And when you feel like, yeah, I can stay with this, then you inhale, lift your heart and draw your heart forward on the exhale. Walk your hands forward. Don't think about coming down. Think about how far can I get forward. That way you keep lovely length in your body. As you soften down and send some love now into that left hip and thigh. On your exhales. This is one of those postures where I encourage you to really come into your body and listen to it talk back to you, because there's probably strong sensations going on somewhere. You need to check that that's not pain you're going into, but a deep stretch is great. Ready to start walking up after a big exhale. Use the hands to bring yourself upright. Tuck the back toes. Lift yourself back. You can stay in down dog for a couple of breaths. You can come to kneeling or child pose, whatever feels good to you. We're going to come to sitting in a minute, so we'll all come together after we've released from that pigeon pose. If you want to grab something to lift your hips up high, and we're going to come to our wide-legged forward fold again. So taking the feet wide apart, seeing how it feels at the end of the class compared to the beginning. Toes point up to the sky. And the heart lifts, the head lifts. We always want this length in our side body and back when we're bowing forwards or backwards. So we're going to take a nice big inhale there, fingertips to the floor. Creep the hands forward, hinge forward as you exhale, and you'll meet some resistance at some point. It might be a little further than when you were first in it, might not. And deliberately bend the knees and release that resistance. And lengthen through the body again. Inhale. And then exhale, hinge forward, trying to straighten the legs as best you can. Maybe the hands come a little further forward, maybe they don't. You might get down to forearms. You might have your head on the floor, but it does not matter if you're still practically sitting upright. Take 4 nice, deep, slow breaths here. So letting the head go with the next exhale. Let the back round a little if it needs to. Every inhale, can you bring a little more length back into the posture and then soften down on the exhale. Can you, in this pose, still breathe in that love and send it out to others? Thinking that sometimes when we do work, it's hard work in order to be able to send out that compassion. Okay, so it doesn't always come easy. Maybe after you've done some work in your body, then you can find a little more softness here. Find that in your heart as well. And when you're ready, use your hands to walk yourself back upright, inhaling. Exhale, relax and release. Scoop up those knees. Draw them in towards the chest. You can stay here or you can come straight down to lying on your back. So hugging the knees over the chest. You might want a little rock from side to side. Before we do our bridge pose. So letting the feet drop down to the mat, hands come down beside the hips, and you want the feet hip width apart, as close to the hips as they can be whilst they still remain flat on the floor. Head and neck are meant to stay relaxed. As you inhale, press into your feet, lift the tailbone, and then roll up towards your shoulders. Lift the heart to the sky. On the exhale, slowly roll back down the spine. Keep the tailbone tucked to the last moment. The hips come down last if you can. Do that twice more like that. Rolling up. Seeing if you can keep the head and neck relaxed. Open the heart at the top of the inhale.
rolling back down again. Use those core muscles to control the descent. And the third time you lift up, you can choose to stay there or continue rolling up and down. So if you're staying at the top of your bridge pose, make sure the knees are still pointing up to the sky. Roll the thighs in towards each other a little bit, and that will stop the temptation to let the knees splay out to the sides. Every inhale, however you're working, think expansion in the front of the body and a little softening on the exhale. One more inhale, and then on your next exhale, bringing yourself down to the floor nice and slowly. Let the hips soften and spread as they arrive onto the floor. Take the legs out straight or bring the knees together if you prefer. So you can be in the classic Shavasana or any modification of it that you know. Let the hands now turn so that the palms are up facing the sky. Let the eyes close and let the breath come back to its usual rhythm. Check that the jaw is released, the tongue is soft, skin on the face is dripping away from the nose, from the brows. Nice and relaxed. Let the arms be heavy, the legs be heavy. Tummy is relaxed. Shoulders release down to the floor. I want you to take 3 deliberate big breaths here. Inhaling in through the nose, sighing out through the mouth. And we're going to take a guided meditation called a Metta Bhavana. This is a Buddhist practice of sending out loving kindness, and traditionally it's done in a seated posture. So if you wish, you can stay lying on the floor. Otherwise, rolling onto one side, gently press yourself up to sitting. Try not to disturb your energy. And let your attention rest once more on the breath. Slowing the breath down to a deep and even rhythm. Feeling a connection with the ground, noticing the parts of the body supported by the earth. And then releasing any effort over the breath. Let it be in its own rhythm. First of all, we're going to bring loving kindness to ourselves. And this is sometimes difficult, so go gently. But I want you to silently say to yourself, may I be safe and free from suffering. May I be as happy and healthy as I am able to be. May I be peaceful and have ease of being. And if you find this tricky, imagine that it was a loved one or a beloved pet wishing you these things with that unconditional love. saying to yourself, may I be safe. May I be happy and healthy. May I be peaceful. Like dropping pebbles down a well, just seeing the response, listening for any response as you say these things. I want you now to think of a person, people, beings that you dedicated your practice to today. And I want you to say these words silently to yourself, thinking of them. May they be safe and free from suffering. May they be as happy and healthy as it is possible for them to be. May they be peaceful and have ease of being. Letting these positive thoughts resonate in whichever way feels right for you. Saying again, may they be safe. May they be happy and healthy. May they be peaceful. And then we're going to extend this loving kindness out to everyone. And this is going to include those who may be a little tricky to get on with. Sometimes there are people in our lives that we struggle with, who make life a little harder, but perhaps they have their own stuff going on. I want you to see if you can gently envelop them in this practice, and then much wider, people who you might see every day but you don't know their names, people in shops or buses, people you pass in the street, people you've never met before in different countries all across the world. We're going to send out this loving kindness to everyone, and that includes yourself. So saying to yourself now, may all be safe and free from suffering. May all be as happy and healthy as it is possible for them to be. May all be peaceful and have ease of being. Knowing that however people act on the outside, on the inside, everybody has their fears and doubts, their moments of loneliness, sadness. Everybody is looking to be loved and accepted deep down. So once more, sending out those wishes, may all be safe. May all be happy and healthy. May all be peaceful. Remembering to embrace yourself in those wishes. As you breathe into your heart space, sending out loving kindness. And if you are still lying on the floor, bringing some gentle movements into fingers and toes, allowing yourself to slowly roll onto one side and to gently bring yourself up to a seated position. And we'll finish this session bringing our hands in front of the heart, letting the thumbs touch the sternum, feeling that connection with the heart space. As we take an inhale, lifting the hands out to the side and up above, let the palms come together and draw them back down to the heart. We're going to do that one more time as though we're scooping up all the loving kindness that we can from the universe, from the world, and from us, bringing it down into our hearts in order that we can send it out to others. Take an inhale to yourself and exhale into a deep bow with greatest respect to all of you and to all beings, and the importance of remembering to tread softly as we go through this path of life. Namaste.